Hello and welcome to the OK Takes podcast. I am Matt, and as always, I'm joined by my fellow capo, Edward. As of 8:50 p.m. West Coast time, I think that was the last time we were able to see Big Ben in LA. It feels like it looks like it, and I'm sad. A piece of our childhood is gone.
Yeah, Chargers gotta feel like they got away from this one, huh? Like they a last second escape. The Steelers really should have won this game.
Because the way the game turned out is like, okay, whoever thought that Big Ben was going to be dead? Okay, well, you're actually the moron. This is not a guy on borrowed time. No, he has life. And this is going to be the Chargers falling back into their old ways, collapsing hard. And now we get to make them the laughing stock.
Yeah, I mean, Big Ben it felt like gritty classic Big Ben tonight. And as that game kind of took a swing, it started to feel more like, okay, the veteran QB, the guy who's been around forever is going to come out on top here. But no, look, the young gun took it from him.
Yeah, Jesus, talk about a change of generations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because this game really, so I want to start there with just the potential collapse because this game really had all of it. It really did because the Chargers at one point were up 27-10. And you're like, you know what? That's it. We'd seal it in, send in the envelope on Big Ben's career. Justin Herbert is running everywhere like he's Michael Vick, and boom. But then the Steelers get a field goal and they get the big breaks that, like, we saw a couple games that were within two possessions, like specifically the Dallas and Kansas City game. That was two possessions for a lot of it. And then for the Seahawks and Cardinals, that was two possessions for a lot of it. But the Steelers got those breaks where it's like, you are in this now.
Yeah. I mean, and there are moments where I thought they got lucky that to be even in this game, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, that like I texted you during the Chiefs game. I was like, the Chiefs are doing everything they can to keep the Cowboys alive. And it kind of felt like the Chargers were doing the same thing. Like every break and every big play started to go the Steelers' way. And it was like, oh my God, they're doing literally everything in their power to collapse again.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was the block punt. Like that block punt was the difference of the game, but it's not a difference of the game, but it is a difference of the game.
Yeah, it is. You could feel the momentum really shift. I feel like the minute that punt was blocked.
Yeah, especially how it ends up on like the 3 or 4 yard line.
Yeah, yeah, those are the type of breaks that, if you're the one getting them, you're like, okay, we're in this game, we can win it. And if you're on the other end, you're like, oh, fuck.
Then what's even crazier is that the Steelers almost blew it because it was literally on. Oh my God, it is impossible. It really is impossible to try and find out why they just refused to run it with Najee Harris. It's like, yeah, you guys have a first round pick. You might as well let him run up the gut behind Derek Watt.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that I'm very passionate about because maybe I'm looking for something that doesn't exist or that's not there, but it feels like this year more than ever, we've seen a lot of teams throw the ball on the goal line. Like I remember the Rams were doing that a couple of weeks ago instead of just giving it to Henderson, and the Packers did that a few weeks ago. And if they didn't get bailed out by a defensive pass interference call, Nasir Adderley picked off Ben Roethlisberger in the end zone. All right. This game was over. And then they got bailed out by a PI and they finally gave it to Harris to punch it in.
Yeah, it's fact that you have four because they literally went 4-0 because first Ben threw an incomplete pass to Najee Harris and then went to Claypool for -2 yards, incomplete pass to Deontay Johnson, and then the play you just mentioned, but pass interference on there. And then, oh, what a shocking idea. We have Najee Harris run it up the gut behind Derek Watt.
Yeah, I mean, they finally came to their senses. Mike Tomlin finally was like, oh, wait, we have a first-round pick at running back?
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you guys did a good job drafting. Like, that was the smart pick. You guys really didn't have much there at running back. James Conner was on his way. You saw last year that James Conner was kind of the difference. If he was a lot better, then I don't think they have that crazy bad collapse at the end after starting the season 11-0. And so you found the hole and you're like, you know what, we're going to do better. You made a smart decision. G Harris, like there's a lot of signs pointing to him having a couple of three, maybe even 3 or 4 seasons with 1,000+ yards. So it's like, good job. Kudos to you. But now fucking use him.
Exactly. Don't draft him if you're not going to use him in the key situations like this. I mean, you need points. You're on the goal line. Give it to him. If Pete Carroll would have done it in the Super Bowl, who knows where we'd be right now.
Yeah. Oh, man. Jesus. Yeah. Talk about butterfly effect.
You would think that would scare teams away from throwing on the goal line, but I guess not.
No. All right. So then, okay. So we have that crazy thing. So now it's 34-20. It's 27-20. But then Chargers come back 7 plays later, score. Steelers come back 9 plays later and score. Now here is another swing of momentum, changing course, momentum shift to the game. And it is the Justin Herbert interception that just makes you wonder, what the hell are you doing, Brandon Staley? I don't even want to put this on Herbert. I want to put it on Staley, unless Herbert was the one that called the play. But why aren't you running the ball?
Yeah. I don't get it. Again, why aren't you running the ball? You have Austin Eckler, who, by the way, had 5 total touchdowns tonight? Like, why don't you feed him? Instead, they try to get cute and throw it. And I believe Casey Hayward tipped it, right? He kind of tipped it.
It wasn't even a tip. He just let it hit his face mask.
Yeah. Okay. So he let it hit his face mask, and then it ended up being a pick. And it's like, here we go again.
Well, dude, it honestly wasn't even off the face mask. It was literally off like where his helmet starts curving from like right on his forehead as it starts heading to the back of his head, because it shot straight up.
Yeah, it was a doink.
It was the perfect angle to have a ball hang in the air for 10 seconds like it was a punt.
Yeah, and I mean, I just don't understand why you're not trying to run the clock down there. Why are you trying to get cute? I understand being up by 1 score is not necessarily enough, but 5 minutes left in the game, just run it, get it down to like 3.5 minutes left, and then punt if you have to.
Yeah, exactly. Just let Herbert. I mean, not even Eckler, but also you could let Herbert do his thing.
Yeah.
Herbert ended the day with 90 rushing yards, and I don't think he had any from that moment going forward.
Yeah, I mean, he was running the ball really well. I mean, when he was out in the open field, he was looking really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they don't just either put it in his hands or Eckler's hands, or just keep it on the ground.
Mm-hmm. So, and once again, we have a why don't you let Herbert run it moment later in the game, because Steelers scored to make it 34-34, and then the Chargers turn it over on downs, and it's a 4th and 1. Once again, let Herbert run.
Well, yeah, like I agree. Like obviously Eckler had a huge night. I'm okay with them not like I'm okay if Eckler, I'll live or die by Eckler if I'm a Chargers fan, but as an outsider, it's like, why not just sneak it with Herbert, or kind of have like a fake little bootleg where Herbert just runs it himself? Mm-hmm. Like he was clearly the guy on the ground most of the night. Why not give it to him? He's what, 6'6"? I think he can work his way through a D line.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, it means nothing because the Chargers pulled it out. And so probably the play that ended it and the game-winning touchdown to Mike Williams, well, we saw the difference of what happens when you have Minkah Fitzpatrick there and when you don't. Because Minkah Fitzpatrick, star safety, is on the COVID reserve. So now you have a backup safety, and on a corner blitz, you have to have somebody pick him up. And that was it.
Yep. Simple. And, you got to feel bad for the backup, but also it's kind of like basic safety 101, I think. Like,
and we always say, like, if we could figure out how to do your job, you're doing a bad job.
Exactly. Yeah. If we can figure it out, you're clearly doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Steelers got the ball back and went nowhere. That's just what I was going to say.
It was so bad that like Ben couldn't even complete the hook to get the ladder.
Exactly. Ben was kind of just flailing for his life out there on that last possession.
Yeah, it was very sad. I don't know. I'm bummed because I think day by day it's like Ben's gonna have to sit on the couch to watch games for the rest of his life. It's just sad. Like I hate saying it, but I don't know. Like now, like you could set your clock to watching Big Ben running concrete.
Yeah, this is probably the last year of his career, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So maybe they can make a playoff push. The Bills are slipping hard, so that wild card spot is wide open right now. But
Very true. Very true. And like, let's be honest. Okay, so let's kind of start to not get too wrapped in the moment. So the Steelers are 5-4-1, and they're still you're fine. Like they are fine, but it's not enough to where you say, look, I think we to have for Ben at least, where you're thinking, man, I do think we should probably look ahead to the future. Like we're or saying like we're okay for now. No, like it's time to start looking forward.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know if that like obviously they're good enough to win games this year, so go for it this year, but maybe in the offseason look to trade up in the draft, try to find a QB you like. I think it's time.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think they might. I mean, God, this is all offseason talk, but I will say, like, the way the draft is looking, I don't know if there's anybody there that's kind of really
Yeah.
worth investing in. So I think you
Mhm.
could just kind of, we're starting like week by week. It's like, yeah, they'll probably do something in the offseason, get somebody who's by the end of the year is kind of fed up with their team or just looking to get in a new situation.
Aaron Rodgers.
That would honestly, let's start getting okay. Well, that's perfect. That's a great segue because the next game I have lined up is Packers Vikings.
Perfect. It's almost like I knew.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Let's start with Kirk Cousins' legacy game.
Yeah, I mean, is this okay? This is a stat that I genuinely don't know, so this will be a live reaction. And my guess to this question, the answer is yes. Is this his first win against Aaron Rodgers in his career?
There's no way it can. No way. I don't think so.
Or like his first win against Green Bay?
I don't
Like I
think
think
so.
I think it has to be.
For the sake of the
Because
argument,
I feel like the Packers have owned the Vikings.
I think okay. I'm pretty
Imagine
sure
it's
that
like the last game they played before this one, and
yeah.
I just look like an idiot.
You don't worry. You don't have to get the stat wrong to do that.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I don't have an answer for you right off the bat.
Okay,
there.
that's fine. I didn't. If you had that stat, I was ready for you to say like, believe it or not, this is the first time Kirk Cousins has beat Aaron Rodgers or something. So I kind of wanted to get out in front of it.
Well, I mean, but on the flip side, Aaron. Okay, we'll get to Aaron Rodgers talk because I have Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings stat. But yeah, I want to start with Kirk Cousins' legacy game. Holy shit, 341 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, all while completing 24-35. Not to go without that. I'm a big I value completion percentage guy. And if you're an accurate passer, I value you as a quarterback. So to see him play like that was quite incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because we know Kirk Cousins to be Mr. Safety. He's like the Big Sean lyric. I have the type of trust issues to where I have to wear a bulletproof condom and still have to pull out. And that's kind of like Kirk Cousins on third down. But it looks like Kirk Cousins doesn't have as much trust issues as before. He's like, ooh, I could let it loose. I could let it rip.
Well, because I think because wasn't there a weird period where he didn't have Diggs and he didn't have Justin Jefferson? And it's like Adam Thielen's not really an explosive receiver. He's a good receiver, but he's not an explosive guy like Diggs was or like Jefferson is now. So I think Kirk Cousins is kind of finally getting used to the fact I've got a generational receiver.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Jesus, generational indeed. Holy shit. So today, Justin Jefferson had 8 catches, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, game-winning score. And here's something for Vikings fans to start. And if you love Justin Jefferson, start getting a hard on. He was wearing a Randy Moss graphic tee before the game.
Yeah, I saw that. That was awesome. I mean, he really is the heir apparent, I guess you could say, to Randy Moss or Diggs.
Yeah, probably close. And honestly, I would say he might have leapfrogged Diggs.
He might at this point. Like, he is unbelievable.
He's so fucking good. Holy shit. So this was Jefferson's 12th time recording 100 and plus receiving yards, tied Juju Smith-Schuster and Randy Moss with 12 such games in a player's first 2 seasons in the league. and that's some of the best of all time. I think the only player they trail is Odell, who had 15 games of 100 plus receiving yards first 2 years.
Did you just say Juju Smith-Schuster and best of all time in the same sentence?
Well, second.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
But like Juju was a menace his first 2 years.
No, he was. That's just funny that like he's included in a list with Randy Moss. Like Justin Jefferson, you can see that he's a generational receiver and he will probably go down as a Hall of Famer and be in that conversation. So it's just funny seeing Juju there.
Yeah. And all right, so let's go to some actual game talk. And once again, this was kind of a very close game where you're waiting for something to happen. And God, football's the best. And we were talking like, if only we could get a game like this 17 times a year.
Yeah. Why don't we just let the Vikings and the Packers play 17 times?
This was an incredible game. God damn it. Because I don't know, at this point, and politics, no, I'm not going to even say politics size. I kind of want Aaron Rodgers to fail. I really like the jokes. The jokes are much more funny when they're against Aaron Rodgers than for Aaron Rodgers.
You're right. You're totally right. It would be funny to see him fail just after the whole scan. And he was just included in there was just another thing with him. Wasn't there that like just came out recently?
Please don't tell me he was this another. I hope it does involve the Rittenhouse case. Okay. If it's not that.
No,
okay.
No, it had to do with, oh man, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but I swear Aaron Rodgers' name came up in another like cancellation attempt or something. I can't remember exactly what it is right now, but.
Okay.
Maybe it had to do with Rittenhouse. I don't know.
Please. All right. Until it's confirmed, then disregard that.
Yeah.
So actually I have a little bit of a cancel Aaron Rodgers moment, but it's pretty innocuous, but it's still fun to try and cancel him. So he went into it looks like he was going into the locker room early, like maybe with 45 seconds left, because it looked like the Vikings were going to run out the clock at the end of the half. And the camera zoomed in on him because he was just staying in the tunnel watching the game with a group of sheriffs. Bad teammate?
Maybe. Back the blue?
That's Blue Lives Matter.
Blue lives matter. No, we're not going to get into that. But that is weird why he would lie about that and say he was going to get treatment and then just be watching the game with
it was just strange. It was just, that's the thing with like Aaron Rodgers now. Everything about him is so cryptic.
Yeah, like I don't get what he's going for. Like I don't get the mojo around him anymore.
It's like if Van Gogh during his teenage rebellious years decided to sling pigskin. Like he thinks he's some artist that people are just going to associate with the Mona Lisa, where it's like he just wants to be depicted in his own way. No, it's just strange.
I think he just needs to cut his ear off and send it to who's he dating now?
Shailene
Woodley. I think that's what he needs to do.
Yeah. That's not really not a bad idea.
Right.
But yeah, it was just a weird moment like that. And then so once again, I had another weird A-Rod moment. So and let's be honest, he was a fucking baller today. Let's not get too wrapped up in all of this, because he was a dog. He had 385 yards and 4 touchdowns. So yeah, when he turns it on at the end of the game, he turns it on.
Yeah, I mean, this was a battle of amazing quarterback performances. And I mean, when he had that big play to Scantling for it was like 75-yard play, first play of the drive, I was like, it might be over for Minnesota. But then they left too much time for Kirk.
Yeah, because we're used to it being flipped. And that's like such a bad joke now, but it's like, oh, too much time for Rodgers. Because we've seen it.
Yeah, we're used to Minnesota leaving too much time for the opposing quarterback.
And then we're used to Minnesota blowing it.
Yeah, and then when they get the chance to win, they miss the field goal, or Kirk Cousins takes a sack with like 5 seconds left and the runoff causes them to lose.
And it really, you want to put this game on Aaron Rodgers, but you can never put a game on a quarterback when he has 4 touchdowns and you score 31 points.
No, not on Aaron Rodgers at all. Like, this is one of those games where it's like, yeah, you lost, but you aren't really to blame. It's just that the other team also played really well and happened to have the ball last.
It's kind of the way it ended. And you're so surprised. You're like, the Vikings are going to do something stupid. I know it. If it's not going to happen leading up to the field goal, then it's going to happen on the field goal. But they were smart. Like, this was a game where you're expecting Dalvin Cook to, like, when he ran it in, would look like he was about to score, like he was Todd Gurley against the Lions last year, scoring before it was when he wasn't supposed to. No, he did an excellent job. He slid. They were able to get 3 kneels in, and then boom, Greg Joseph nailed it.
Yeah. And I mean, let's not forget though, earlier on in that same game-winning field goal drive, I almost predicted the outcome of the game because I texted you and I said this is either going to be Kirk Cousins just slinging down the field to win the game, or he's going to throw a really bad pick off his back foot. And then he proceeded on like literally 2 plays later to throw a pick to Darnell Savage that ended up getting reversed because the ball hit the ground and he never had possession. And they got like, they were like a cat. They had 9 lives and that was their 7th death or whatever right there. They got their life back and they ended up winning, but they almost had another moment.
Almost. It was like, oh my God, Kirk, what are you doing? No, we finally let you off the loose. Finally, all the takes about how you just weren't being used right, and how Mike Zimmer was the one holding you back, and not your own ability to play court, and not your own like actual quarterback play is holding you back.
Yeah, he almost had an all-time choke moment. The narrative could have been flipped. Then he threw a pick, but then it wasn't a pick. So now is the narrative flipped?
Yeah, it feels like it at this point.
Is purple purgatory? Are we retiring that for now?
Okay. So yeah, so let's actually, you bring up purple purgatory, so I want to talk about as well. I think purple purgatory knows no name. It just travels to whoever's within close distance.
Gotcha. So you don't have to be, it's not exclusive to purple teams is what I'm hearing.
Well, it could be a purple team. It doesn't so much matter. So you have to be, I think it starts with the Vikings. So the purple purgatory starts with the Vikings, but then it travels to whoever they're playing, because we've seen some games where it's just like, oh my God, this isn't a Vikings problem. It's a purple problem. It's just whoever the Vikings are playing problem as well. It's just whatever reason the Vikings have this energy that will make you just play football in quicksand.
They transcend space-time and they transcend all the, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's just whoever they're around soaks up their purple purgatory.
Yeah, it's like some weird thing. It's like some celestial beckoning where no matter what, your team is just going to look really, really boring and will make you want to scoop your eyeballs out of your sockets.
Yeah, they do that to you. They do that to teams.
Yeah. So shout out the Vikings. Good win. Hey, maybe you can sneak into the wild card. You're not going to catch the Packers.
They're in it right now. I'm looking at the standings. They're sitting at 6.
Yeah, there you go. And I think they'd be playing the Packers.
They'd be playing. How does the seeding work out now? Which 2 teams get a bye?
Okay, because I'm not too sure. I just
or is it
saw
only
today.
The 1 seed gets a bye?
Yeah, I think it was expanded. So I think that they would play the Packers. I'm not sure. I saw that today on Twitter, so I'll just run with that.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll run with it. I don't even know how the new standings work, but I'll figure it out when the time comes.
So good day for the Vikings. Good day for the over.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have 49ers, Jaguars.
Talk about 2 boring teams. I'm just going to come right out and say it. Talk about 2 boring teams, man, except for maybe Deebo Samuel. He's a great player. Outside of him, like,
I'll be honest, I don't think the 49ers are boring. I don't find them boring. I find them a team where if you appreciate the finer things in life, like Navy football, then kind of your cup of tea.
I mean, to be fair to them, they had the longest drive like ever, right? Wasn't this the longest drive ever? Well, the very first drive of the game.
This has to be up there. I don't know I'm sure that in the record books, there's been a drive that has gone over the length of a first quarter. I don't know how it's possible, but it probably has. If you just tack on penalties when it's like 4th and goal. If you don't make it on 4th and goal, but then there's a penalty like the Chargers Steelers game, and then you have 4 more opportunities to score.
Yeah.
But yeah, so first drive of the game for the 49ers was 20 plays, 87 yards, took up 13 minutes and 5 seconds.
How is that even possible?
You just love to run the ball. That's how it happens.
Yeah, I mean, and with Elijah Mitchell out, Jeff Wilson stepped up, and Deebo Samuel also. He was like their main guy on the ground. So just pound the rock, take 20 plays, 13 minutes.
And it's an even, I mean, that's kind of the crazy part about this offense and the way Kyle Shanahan works, where very strange because now the 49ers are 5-5, and you're like, okay, well, maybe they're not as bad as we think they are. But like with the rushing attack, Deebo had 79 yards. Jeff Wilson, like you just mentioned, had 50 yards. Trey Sermon had 32 yards. Jimmy G had 6. Trey Lance had 4. So it's not like one bulldozer like during the Super Bowl run.
Yeah, they were kind of by committee today, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So like obviously Deebo is your spark plug. Deebo is the guy that's just going to be absolutely electric, and he is going to be the difference maker. And he's going to put numbers on the board.
Yeah, and I mean, props to him for kind of taking that running back role, and props to Brandon Ayuk and Kittle for stepping in while, because he's a receiver, Deebo Samuel. So they were kind of using him like Cordarrelle Patterson is used. And so Brandon Ayuk had to step up, and he got 7 for 85 with a touchdown. Kittle had a touchdown as well. So it was like, this was a really good team win.
Yeah. I just want to see more George Kittle. Oh, fucking PMTs. What happens when you listen to Part of My Take? They call him Greg Kittle because they don't think he should be named George Kittle. So always fucks me up in conversations when talking about him.
Shout out to Greg Kittle.
Yeah. So shout out to Greg. I'm just going to keep on calling him Greg. I could care less. I won't clip it. Yeah. And it's just like, finally, like I want to see Greg Kittle put in work. Like he really just has, he was really good against the Cardinals in the loss. He had 101 yards for 8 catches, but we haven't seen him be just dominant like the Kittle he was during the crazy 2019 year. Yeah. During the 2018 year. So his breakout year, haven't seen him come close to that. I want to see Greg Kittle just grabbing somebody and bashing their skull in and just watching him drag them through the mud.
Yeah, where we need aggressive. And I mean, I guess he's aggressive, but we need like mega, like incredible Hulk George Kittle or Greg Kittle.
Yeah. I want to see the whites. Like I want to see the white of his eyes, and I want to see his teeth, and I want to see him snarling.
Yeah.
And then just very sad day for the Jaguars offense. Oh my God. This is like, if you want to hear some really sad stats here, I'm just going to fire them away. So at the end of the first half, because the game pretty much ended at the end of the first half. In the first half, 49ers had 16 first downs. The Jags had 4.
Ugh.
Man, 49ers at the end of the first half, once again, 49ers had 96 rush yards. The Jags had 23. The Jags had 83 total yards at the end of the first half, and the 49ers had 215.
Poor, like, is there like, is it already Urban Meyer out time?
It's kind of seeming like that because let me see. Oh yeah, so the team recently the team has, so I don't know about Urban, but they're already starting to have members of the staff let them walk on out on their own power. air quotes over on their own power. So the team has confirmed that Chief of Staff Fernando Lobo joined the team from the University of Texas in January, will be returning to the school. So you're literally leaving the Jaguars to go back to one of the worst programs in college football right now, one of the true laughingstocks, a team that had a coach who has a monkey that bit somebody, and the monkey belonged to a stripper named Pole Assassin.
And they lost to Kansas.
Yeah, exactly. One of the biggest laughingstocks just lost this week. Will not even be making a fucking bowl game. And the chief of staff, who I guess, I don't even know what that means. I guess he's just in charge of everybody.
I thought that was like a political thing. Like
I thought that's called the president.
Yeah, I was going to say the chief of staff is like, that's like, he's in the White House. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I guess he's just in charge of sticks.
guess. Jeez.
Yeah, like imagine that. Imagine wanting to leave the Jaguars to go be a part of the University of Texas football.
Sam Ellinger ruined them forever. Just a little side note.
Yeah, Jesus. And it was kind of Urban had a funnier, yeah. So going back to Urban, kind of had a funny reaction to Florida firing Dan Mullen. He said, "Wow, didn't see that one coming. There's high expectations of Florida, Myers." And he said, "I'll call him tonight. He and his wife Megan are dear friends. I think they have something to bond over pretty soon."
Yeah, I think there's going to be a connection there in the next couple of months.
Yeah, so it just I don't think it's working because one of the differences between coaching in the NFL and being in coaching in college is that in college people are there because they want your guidance. You were saying I can get you to the next level, and you're kind of allowed to lecture more, and you're allowed to just be an adviceaholic. And now it's kind of wearing thin because the running backs coach Bernie Parmalee, receivers coach Sanjay Lai they said this was an article I read on, I think it was Pro Football Talk. They're often on on the receiving end of Meyer's diatribes. They're getting pretty fucking sick of hearing Urban Meyer talk.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Yeah. And I mean, the Trevor Lawrence experiment is not going good. It's really not going well, and he's not getting better.
Look, I don't want to give up on a player after 1 year when he was drafted into a really bad situation. It's why, like, Zach Wilson, I'm not going to give up on him. I'm not going to give up on Justin Fields. I'm not going to give up on Lawrence yet. I can't say that he's going to be a failure after 10 games. If this is 2 seasons, and he does not show any signs of improvement at all, then I think we move on. But I can't do that after 10 games. I can't give up on a player after 10 games.
It's tough, but you don't want to start. You don't obviously you don't want to label him. You don't want to slap the label on him, especially when he literally hasn't done anything wrong. Like Lawrence is, at least from the media perspective, from when you're not inside his day to day. I mean, he's the A1. He really is A1 character, but you just look at it and it's like, damn, he just isn't. I mean, there just aren't adjustments being made. And here's the thing: you want a change of regime to happen, and then that way you're like, okay, well, maybe it was just the coaches, and we'll start figuring it out because there's two different philosophies. One group says that they should be doing an RPO, which is what he ran at Clemson. The other group and the other philosophy with that group is saying they're saying that no, we can't run the RPO because there are players and like defensive players in the NFL are just a different breed and they will murder him. Both sides are kind of right at the same time, but you have to try something new, and maybe running the RPO is not the worst idea.
Yeah. Especially when you're 2-8, like now's the time to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're already bad, you're not going to make the playoffs. You're going to get another good draft pick. You're going to have another good player come into the team. So why don't you try some things out? Why don't you experiment, try some new play calls, try some new formations, go to the RPO, maybe see what works and see what doesn't. Now's the time to hash that stuff out.
Yeah. And I want to make the excuse that it's because they don't have Travis Etienne, but you have James Robinson, man. A lot of quarterbacks would kill to have that.
Yeah, like Etienne is he was a rookie too. We don't even know if he was going to be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
We know what Robinson can do.
Yeah, exactly. Another note I had: the 2-minute warning happened at 11:04 a.m. my time, so that's an hour and 4 into games.
The 2-minute warning happened an hour and 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah. Because we had the crazy 13-minute drive to begin the game.
What time did the game end?
The game ended, I want to say 12:15, 12:30. It was the fastest football game I've ever watched.
I'd like to know the stats on that. Like, what's the fastest, like, with the new format of games, what's the fastest game ever?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to plant my flag and say it's definitely the fastest one this year, which is honestly perfect because I don't want to watch the Jaguars any more than I have to.
No. If there's ever going to be a team that's going to have the quickest game ever played, you'd want it to be Jacksonville or like the Texans.
Exactly. So thank God.
That's
They
wild
did us a
though.
favor.
Hour and 4 minutes.
Yep. Hour and 4 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So now we have pretty much the primetime game of the afternoon slate. We have Cowboys Chiefs. All right. First thoughts from the game.
So Chiefs are back, but what I really wanted to say was coming into the game, I was expecting what we got from Sunday night to be what we got from Cowboys Chiefs. And then what actually Cowboys Chiefs ended up being was what I was expecting from Sunday night. So I was so prepared to come into this game and be like, why wasn't Chiefs Cowboys flexed into the Sunday night game? Like that was the game of the week, like 41-37 or whatever. Like what a crazy game. And then it was like a dud.
I mean, it was tough. I'm not sure if it was a dud.
Okay, it's not a dud from my perspective because I was right, and I also called -2.5 my lock of the week. So if that means anything, at least it does in my morale. My lock of the week was right. So I'm always happy when that happens.
Yeah. Once again, I think it was a dud because we wanted points.
Of course.
All of us wanted at least 70. Even though obviously the over is 56.5, we wanted it to be 70.
And let's face it, we were expecting it. I don't know about you. I was expecting 70.
Yeah, this is somebody who this was a final part of the 3-leg parlay. So yeah, I was expecting it.
Yeah, I was expecting 70, and it was kind of a letdown. But look, man, this was another gritty, grinded out win for the Chiefs. They are proving that they are battle tested, and also they are proving they don't need 50 points to win. That's my biggest takeaway from the Chiefs today. And honestly, from their run over their nice little streak they're on, I think that's now 4 in a row and 5 out of 6. Like, sure, they had their 42-30 win, but like 20-17, 13-7, 19-9. Like, they're proving that they can grind out wins.
Okay, so that's where we're at. We're at the grinding out phase to where the defense was so bad at the beginning of the year. They gave up 29 points to the Browns. They gave up 36 to the Ravens, 30 to the Chargers, and 30 to the Eagles. And you're like, okay, well, they can't even stop a nosebleed. Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator, he's out of here. That was what was holding back from losing the AFC Championship game, Mahomes' rookie year. And then that was what had them lose the Super Bowl against the Bucs. Is just they needed a better defense, and it starts with Steve Spagnuolo. Nope. So yeah, so I guess they're grinders, man, and it's kind of like big respect to them.
They've completely flipped the way we view them, or at least they've flipped the way I view them. This whole year, I viewed them as a one-dimensional team that, look, if they're going to win the game, the final score is going to be 45-40. 45-42. Now I look at them and I think they can go out there and win a game 17-10 if they have to. They can win. Yeah. They can have a 9-6 Alabama LSU win if they need to.
Because now it's like, oh my God, do I start betting the under on them? Because the fact that they really, really shut down the Cowboys today. I think that was the story from the game, is they could shut shit down.
Yeah, Dak was. I mean, Aikman and Buck kept talking about like how Dak was getting visibly frustrated with his offensive line. And I know who's the lineman that's out for the Cowboys?
Tyron Smith.
Yeah, I know he's big for them and he's not there. But boy, Chris Jones.
Monster.
Feasting. That whole Chiefs defense was feasting.
Yeah, 3.5 sacks, and it was also interesting. So I saw this on Twitter. Sorry, I forgot who posted it, but they said the Chiefs brought up as many as 8 to the line pre-snap, but never rushed more than 4. So they were just going to look like it was going to be blitzkrieg, but then just dropped a couple nukes here and there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're the Cowboys, you got to think, well, we held the Chiefs to 19 points. This is a team that just scored 41. Yeah. How the hell did we not win? Well, when the Chiefs defense was doing what they did, this was just a defensive game. It was the polar opposite of what everyone expected, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Micah Parsons, had 2 sacks today and now leads all defensive rookies in sacks. And I think it's like, okay, well, he's starting to run away with defensive rookie of the year. So you are looking at a defense that is very solid. Oh, one stat that's kind of crazy, just a little bit of throwback. So the player on the Cowboys who had the most or rookie with the most sacks since Michael Parsons was DeMarcus Ware, and Michael Parsons tied him up today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Micah Parsons, was a standout in a couple episodes of Hard Knocks, as we alluded to in those episodes.
Chess against Ben DiNucci.
Yep. So it's good to see, and we saw his mom in the stands at the preseason game. So it's nice to see the Hard Knocks darling, actually playing well.
Yeah, too bad it wasn't the guy from Africa.
Oh, yeah, what was his name?
Well, I guess that's pretty telling.
Sad.
Yeah. But then
I bet I could go back and find it.
It's there. We named the holiday after him.
And we already forgot his name.
Yeah. But I will say, so a big part of this game, and I wanted to, it's kind of earlier when we were talking about the Chargers and Steelers, I wanted to mention the 2 possession thing. This was the game that really, because I had my eye on this for a majority of the afternoon slate. And this is a game where it was 2 possessions the entire way. I mean, even deep into the third quarter, it was 2 possessions. Yeah, it was 16. 19. Yeah, so it was a 2 possession game the entire way. And Dallas even kicked the field goal to make it 19-9. And so once again, 2 possessions. But they just couldn't put shit together because Mahomes had a fumble on his side of the 50. They didn't do anything with that. There was a pick. They didn't do anything with that. I think the real difference maker was the CeeDee Lamb concussion on that interception.
Yeah. Just like you said, they couldn't put it together. It was, like I said earlier, like when I said I texted you, the Chiefs were doing everything they could to keep giving the Cowboys life. There was the pick, there was a fumble. They kept getting the ball back in decent spots on the field, but they just, offense for the Cowboys couldn't put it together. And losing CeeDee Lamb was huge. So I feel like just all around was really disappointing from a Cowboys perspective.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very so I want to say all around. There is one little roundabout. That's the defense. We're like, okay, they held them down. They held them to 33% conversion rate on 3rd down. And the Chiefs have been leading the NFL at 53% conversion rate. So that's good. You can pat yourselves on the back for that one. But man, the CeeDee Lamb concussion, because I was in the end zone. So CeeDee Lamb, if he makes that catch, then it's 16-10 heading into halftime. Instead, the score remains at 16-3.
Yep.
So another thing we have to address is taunting.
Do we?
Oh, definitely. I'm very heated about this.
Okay. The floor is yours.
Okay. So first we have the Clyde Edwards-Helaire touchdown. So it was in the first half, scampering into the end zone. And he points to, and we don't even know who he's pointing at, but he's pointing at a player on the Cowboys in his way in. That gets called for taunting. Okay. But we have Cam Newton running to the 50 and then doing the Superman pull apart of the chest. And that doesn't get called, even though he's clearly like, I just don't understand the difference. And the same thing with defenses. I know this might hit a little bit different for you because you're a Saints fan, but when teams run into the end zone or defenses run into the end zone after getting the turnover,
we created that.
Yeah, but either way, you have to admit it's still much more. It's still just as bit of taunting as pointing to a player as you're running into the end zone. I just don't get the difference.
No, I'm right there with you. That the Saints started that, I think, in the 2017 season. So it's been a few years. And so I guess the refs are going in the wrong direction because back then they let it slide. And I guess now they still do let it slide, but they let other shit that's way less taunting than that become penalties. Like literally all Edwards-Helaire did was point.
And you don't even know what he was pointing at.
He could have been pointing at his mom in the stands. He was
Exactly.
just pointed in the direction where a Cowboys player happened to be.
It was like when Shaq was pointing to his kid on the alley-oop from Kobe
Yeah.
against the Blazers.
Yeah. Iconic moment right there.
So yeah, who knows? I mean, it's not confirmed, so we don't know the true angle of his finger. We don't know the perspective of that. It could have been pointing to a couple rows deep into the stands.
Yeah.
Now here's the so we have that, but then there's also Chiefs Rashad. So later in the game, on a punt, we have Chiefs Rashad Fenton. He is a mock shooting gun towards the Cowboys in a chaotic face mask taunting situation. I think that might have been, especially with the way or especially with the stories revolving around Second Amendment issues. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Probably not the time to be pretending to shoot people.
I don't know. Depends. I don't know. I think you do have this thing. It's a little bit more liberal for to have a gun there in Missouri. So I think you should be able to do what you want with a gun. I don't know. I think it's kind of bullshit that we're trying to take their guns away.
Yeah, why would we take their handguns away?
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't even a handgun. I think it was a bazooka.
Yeah. He clearly pulled out the big guns.
Yeah, honestly, I think it might have been like one of those muskets you see at like a Revolutionary War.
Yeah, at a war reenactment. Yeah, that scares off. Which Hank's kid was in Curb? Was it Chet? Before he got canceled. Yeah,
yeah.
It scares him off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was, I mean, it was very funny. It's very dumb, but I can't believe we're actually having to debate that. But it was just so funny that we're like, okay, well, we have a pretty good example of what is taunting and what is not taunting. I don't think you're allowed I think if you bring in weapons to the taunt to taunt.
Yeah, definitely. I can get behind that.
Okay. I'm glad we addressed that.
And if you point at someone, I guess, which I can't get behind that.
But we don't know where the finger was pointed to.
And also, he could have been pointing, but in his mind, his finger was a weapon, and the ref knew that and flagged him.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah, it's fair. It's very fair. Sorry, just something to think about.
Food for thought.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we're gonna wrap up episode 52 with some Bengals and Raiders.
My theory is right. I said starting this week, teams that beat the Raiders are gonna go on runs. The Chiefs beat the Raiders last week, beat the Cowboys this week. The Bengals beat the Raiders this week. Put the house on the Bengals next week.
Ooh, should we start picking out wins for the Bengals?
Yeah.
So speaking of the devil, they're playing the Steelers and then they're playing the Chargers, 49ers, Broncos. Okay, well, they actually have a pretty tough schedule.
That is actually tougher than I did not know that, but I see 4 wins in there.
Of a clean sweep against the Steelers, Chargers, 49ers, and Broncos.
In their next 4. I thought you just meant out of their next 7 games. Out of their next 4, 3-1.
It's very ugly. Now. Every single team they have lined up is a potential playoff team because they have Steelers, Chargers, 49ers, Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, Browns.
I'm telling you right now, of their next 4, they go 3-1.
Okay.
They beat Denver, they beat San Francisco, and they can win one of those 2 at home against the Chargers or the Steelers. They win one of those 2 at home, and they definitely beat the Niners at home and the Broncos on the road.
Yeah, I mean, depends on the injury report for the Steelers. If Steelers get TJ Watt and Mika Fitzpatrick back, then I think it's a lot different.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, and I will say once again though, with the Bengals, I have to argue, I don't think it was that great of a win. I mean, obviously, I think the score, score ended at 32-13. So you look at it, you're like 19 points. Well, what are you complaining about? Well, a lot of the points came in garbage time. And the Raiders I think they're kind of hopeless.
That's what I was going to say. I think this was more of this was the final nail in the Raiders. This was the last scoop of dirt onto the Raiders' grave more than it was like an announcement of, okay, the Bengals are here. As much as I'm going to ride the Bengals, now that I was right, I still just think deep down I know what this was, and it was more of a last kick on the Raiders than it was anything
because
else.
I mean, now the Raiders are 5-5. So you look at a team that's 500 and you're like, okay, well, that's not that bad. No, it's going to get worse. I hate to say it, but it's going to get worse. And it sounds so, I mean, it feels just really, I won't say naive, but it feels really superficial to talk about the Raiders and Henry Ruggs and throwing strategy here and there. But this is clearly a byproduct of, like, I actually didn't say clearly, but part of it is a byproduct of Henry Ruggs' DUI situation, because you lose your deep threat. Like, I hate to say it, but yeah, you can't say, well, we're losing because one of our best receiver, or probably our best deep threat, got thrown in jail and is going to be in the can for a long time. But that's kind of what's happening. Like, you really can't just run away from that fact.
No, it clearly plays a role. It was clearly a big loss. Um, Obviously a devastating situation, but from the football side of it, clearly just a shot in the foot for the Raiders as a team, as an offense. Like you said, they lost their deep threat, and they tried it with Deshaun Jackson. That's probably not going to work. So
yeah, today he had no catches and 1 carry for 4 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough. Yeah, so in those 3 games since Henry Ruggs got thrown in the clink, they've been outscored 73-27.
Yeah, and one of those games was a proper romping. The Chiefs fully dominated from start to finish. This week you could chalk it up as the dominant performance, but like you said, Bengals got a lot of points in garbage time. But I think, Dallas will probably kill him next week. That's on Thanksgiving. Okay, Dallas will probably kill him on Thanksgiving, and then we won't even be looking at the Raiders. Like right now, you could look at them and say, well, they're not out of the hunt. But I think starting next week, we'll be like, okay, let's move on from the Raiders.
Yeah. I think they're able to keep it close, but man, just the offense is going to kill them. The offense really is going to kill them. It's weird because you're like, oh, but I don't know. Maybe I'm very confused because I wouldn't expect the Henry Ruggs thing to have so much of an impact on them, but also it's also the John Gruden comments and him getting fired. So I think there's the actual, like, on the gridiron aspect, and then there's the human aspect of, wow, I just don't know where we go from here. I think you just kind of want to pack it in for the season, and it's just like waking up from the worst dream you could imagine.
Yeah, I think there was just one too many storylines wrapped, one too many like devastating storylines wrapped around this team. It's like every team has storylines. Like the Jags had the Urban Meyer thing, and
but no team has storylines like the Raiders.
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to say. No team has storylines like the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to compare a guy who cheated on his wife and wants to finger bang young girls at a bar, and then for the clean sweep, and then a DUI that killed somebody.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And not to mention a head coach that's a racist, sexist, basically an equal opportunity hater. He just hates everyone.
Of Roger Goodell.
Exactly.
Especially the most egregious of all those 3 is Roger Goodell.
Oh, absolutely. But so just one too many storylines. And not just are they storylines, but they are storylines. Like they are. You don't just see them on ESPN. You see them on like CNN.
Yeah, it's bad. As soon as you make NPR, then you're gone.
Yeah, your season's over once you've made it to national news.
Yeah, Jesus, man. So I don't know. I mean, but let's just pump brakes on Bengals, fill them out. They have a really tough schedule coming up. See how they are after the upcoming 2 games. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that's what it is. Joe Mixon is very good. Oh, for Joe, this is at least ending on a light note. For his celebration, he was doing the shooting the dice thing, and that's perfect in Vegas. So very on theme celebration. Love
that.
Gamble responsibly.
Yeah.
All right. Got anything else for today?
I have one thing. I think you probably figured I wasn't going to let us go a whole podcast without me mentioning the events of Saturday.
Remind me.
Just UCLA winning 62-33 over USC, most points we've ever scored in that rivalry game. You were there. You got to see it firsthand. I got to watch it on TV, which it was still fun. DTR hurdled a guy standing straight up. That was cool. He also signed a guy's hat, got penalized for it. I'll stop.
Yeah. You just dance. I mean, it's a dance on my grave moment. How much else to
I
say.
had to bring it up. I think I was tame there. I could have been way worse.
No, you could have.
I could have let you have it, but I didn't want to let you have it.
I've had enough pain.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, fuck me. Fuck me.
I rattled you, didn't I? Right before the
a little bit. I thought you were gonna bring. Okay, so one storyline that I thought we were gonna bring up that I wanted to talk about that I kind of blanked on as soon as we started recording was Scott Hansen says he doesn't pee during when he's filming Red Zone. I thought that was gonna be it. I was like, oh, this will be funny.
Little did you know I was going to go the other way.
Yeah, so here's a Scott Hansen quote. The rumors are true. I don't go to the bathroom during 7 hours of NFL Red Zone. I dehydrate on Sunday a.m. I use the men's room right before the show and during the 5-minute countdown. Then it's willpower of a ninja for 7 hours. Bullshit, Scott. I was timing you. You went 10 minutes without talking during multiple times during Red Zone. But no matter what, I still am the one that takes the L right now.
He's wrong. I don't believe in him for one bit.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right. All-time rattling.
You don't have to do the outro. You can just kind of end it.
No, I'll power through. I'll have the willpower of Scott Hansen.
Good. Yeah. All right. Make sure you've got a Pringles can like tied to your leg or something so you can go.
Yeah, I got a little milk jug.
Okay, good.
All right. So we'll end on a piss jug.
Yes.
All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 52 of OK Takes. If you'd like to follow myself, find me on Instagram and Twitter at MattWarner20. If you'd like to follow Edward on his Instagram and Twitter, you can find him at Edward_Vento. If you would like to follow the podcast because you have no care in the world for anything you have to say, make sure to follow OK Takes Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OK Takes Pod. That is OKAY takes pod. OKAY takes pod. Takes 2 seconds and will help us tremendously. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and have a wonderful day.